Hello, everyone. We'll be starting in 5 minutes.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon to our top 30s, to our family, friends, community members, and invited guests. Welcome to the Alberta Council for Global Cooperation's 14th annual Top 30 Under 30 celebration event as part of Canada's International Development Week. My name is Ziana Kotadia, and I will be one of your hosts this evening.
Please take your seats. The program will begin right away. Tanses, bimi sa tim si gasun, muskachi sachinia, eguamiina, isnewachi isinawik. My name is Farada Lightning, and I will be your other host this evening. Ziana and I received the Top 30 award in 2024, and as per Top 30 tradition, members of the previous cohort returned to usher in the newest year. We look forward to recognizing the newest cohort of Top 30s this afternoon. Congratulations! We have an exciting program for you this afternoon. Before we begin, some housekeeping. Washrooms are located just outside of the lecture theater, and the exits are at the front of the theater to the left and right. We are broadcasting live to those who could not attend the event in person, and we kindly ask that the noise level be kept to a minimum. We also ask that you do not stand in front of our photographer, who will be moving around the theater throughout the event to commence the ceremony. I would now like to call up special guest, A Lot of Poetry, to deliver the land acknowledgement. Come on up here.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to just be here today to celebrate the top 30 under 30. As a fellow 29-year-old, almost 30, it's nice to be among my peers. And so I will be delivering the land acknowledgement. It is a poetic interpretation of the land acknowledgement that I wrote for the anti-racism conference that happened last year. So please, thank you for listening. Uchespa Oyade, Gutsits, Otus Kwani. Names spoken in tongues that thank the buffalo for sharing its abundance with them before time had a name. We gather in this place where each step is not simply a step, but a story. Before the Scottish language gave it a new name, this place called Calgary was home to a vast history. Each organism, creature, a spirit that is part of the land's tale. Today and every day, we acknowledge our place on this land, passed down from generations of people who were forced to hide their true names, true faith, true language, and true selves. Today and every day, we must respect where we stand and we say their names. Yith Nakoda Wiskatabi, First Nations, the ancestral and traditional territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Tsiktika, Bagani, Amskipikani, Kainai First Nations, Ethno-Nakota Wiskatabi First Nations, comprised of the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Goodstoney First Nations, and the Tsutsina First Nation. The historic homeland of the Northwest Métis, and to the Oti-Pimisoak Métis government, Métis Nation Battle River Territory, Noto Métis District 5, and Elbow Métis District 6. All non-Indigenous people who have made their home here, take a breath. The air we breathe is filled with the past breaths of spirits still watching over their descendants, where they have cried, where they have danced, where they gathered, where they have bled, where they have laughed. Their ancestors took care of the land as an extension of themselves, existing in harmony, holding hands with Creator as they guarded the earth, a sacred bond, a partnership, a team. Long before the colonial eyes saw it as land, saw it as gold, long before they set their eyes on this earth and decided to take her, before broken treaties were spoken in Anglo tongues, before pen was to paper. It is because of how we come to this place, Calgary, that we must look back and recognize where we are now, that we just comprehend the price of what was paid. We must learn from their joy. We must learn from their ways. We must learn from their journey. We must learn from their pain. We must learn from the sacred ancestry of so-called Canada. We must look to those who followed where the Bow and Elbow rivers meet to converse, where people and land spoke to each other, where they whispered secrets and guided their people, where they shared resources, ideas, and opportunities, a confluence of communities. To stand by Turtle Island's people, hear them when they speak. Stand when they tell us what they need. We gather here in someone else's home and we have left our footprints. So I hope that now those footprints we leave are together, unwaveringly, unapologetically, in solidarity. Thank you.
thank you to A Lot of Poetry for that land acknowledgement. That's easily one of the most beautiful and thoughtful land acknowledgements I've heard, so we really appreciate the time you put into that. A Lot of Poetry is a Nigerian South African poet and spoken word artist based in Calgary, and don't worry, she will be back later in the evening. Right now, I would like to call up Alberta Council for Global Cooperation's Executive Director, Sandra Muchekeza.
Sorry, I have to put one of these because I'm not under 30, that's for sure. So thank you, Ziana and Ferrada, and A Lot of Poetry for that beautiful start to our program this afternoon. My name is Sandra Muchekeza, as I've been introduced. Whoa, sorry. This is a very small space here, so I'll try not to break anything. My name is Sandra Muchekeza, and I am the Executive Director at the Alberta Council for Global Cooperation, or SCGC as we are more widely known. We are a network of several civil society organizations that are based here in Alberta, each working to advance human rights and or sustainable development locally and around the world. I want to first start by giving a very warm congratulations to each of you, our top 30s for 2025. Can we please give them a round of applause? Thank you. The Top 30 award recognizes young leaders who are doing just that. They're advancing human rights and sustainable development, both here in Canada and around the world. This award is given to youth who demonstrate a genuine passion for local and global justice, as well as a strong focus on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, from advocating for 2S LGBTQIA+ rights, improving health outcomes for vulnerable populations, to pioneering the latest technology in clean energy. This year's Top 30 Under 30 are truly a group of outstanding young people. As mentioned by our hosts, this is our 14th Top 30 Under 30, my first actually, so I'm quite excited about it, but it's the 14th since we started in 2012, and it has brought us to a total of 420 youth that have received this award. Are there any Top 30 alumni here? Can they raise their hands? Any? That's great. We have our, right here, our two hosts and one there, so we can give them a round of applause as well. Thank you for coming. We recognize that you're continuing to do the work as change makers. I was speaking to some of you today, so thank you for keeping that, for being ambassadors for this really great award. So this year's theme for Top 30 is Past, Present, Future, celebrating the journey from yesterday to tomorrow. All of our top 30s have a history, a story, or a foundation that has driven them to where they are today. And if you look around the room, we know that they're not isolated in their path. All of those who are here today as guests are part of the journey of these young people. And I thank you for your support for these remarkable young leaders. This year, the top 30s were asked to describe the motivations behind their work and their vision for the future. They're captured in some of the digital profiles, which are, you can all have a look at them, they're on our website. And we're also in the middle of a social media campaign, digital campaign, which highlights each of these top 30 across different platforms. So I encourage you to follow along our social media this week and next week, and please do share these posts with your own networks so that they may be able to go in and read about these remarkable young people. It would be remiss for me to not mention that this award has been graciously supported by the Global Affairs Canada since its inception, and it is a part of ACGC's International Development Week lineup of events. So every year, Global Affairs Canada observes International Development Week, or IDW, And ACGC, along with our sister councils across the country, showcase the contributions of Canadians in creating a just and sustainable world. It is perhaps the busiest week for those of us who work in this sector, and this year marks the 35th anniversary of IDW with the theme of Building a Better World Together. This week is really where we take the time to understand and be proud of how Canadians are helping to advance sustainable development worldwide. IDW is celebrated across Canada with hundreds of events that inspire, much like this one. They inform, they mobilize the public to get involved, and they also celebrate our global impact as Canadians. ACGC this year was thrilled to support 2 member organizations with their events. We had Real Humanitarian based in Medicine Hat and Engineers Without Borders based here in Calgary. And this event, Top 30 Under 30, is the culmination. It concludes this remarkable week of IDW activities, not just in Alberta, but across the country. So in closing, I just want to say that IDW is also a week where we educate and raise awareness around the work that is yet to be done. And this work is more crucial now than ever, especially as we witness a troubling shift, if not an outright erosion of support for international cooperation from our neighbors down south. It is in this climate that we need to continue to work together to support individuals and organizations that are doing this important work across the world. But as our Top 30 Under 30 theme demands, today is about celebrating the journey of our youth, and that is what we're going to do. These youth are the leaders of today and tomorrow, and we're immensely proud of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. What a great speech. The Right Honorable Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, has provided a letter addressed to the top 30s and their loved ones, and yours truly will read them out loud. Dear friends, I am pleased to extend my warmest greetings to everyone attending the 2025 Top 30 Under 30 celebration event hosted by the Alberta Council for Global Cooperation. You have come together this evening to honor a group of young Albertans for their contributions to social justice, sustainable development, and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I would like to congratulate this year's awards recipients, your leadership, vision, and commitment to making a difference. And making a difference make you most deserving of this special recognition, and I wish you all the best as you continue to make a mark on this world. I would also like to commend everyone involved with the ACGC for celebrating young Canadians who are striving to create positive change as informed and engaged global citizens. Please accept my best wishes for a memorable celebration. Sincerely, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
We thank Prime Minister Trudeau for his warm sentiments, and a copy of that letter will be included in your Top 30 packages. Now, I would like to call up a very special guest. She is a champion for the city and the first ever woman mayor for Calgary, and we are honored to have her here today. I'd like to call up Her Worship, Jyoti Gondek, Mayor of Calgary. Welcome, Mayor Gondek.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction, and hello, everyone. Let me also greet you in the mother languages of the Treaty 7 Indigenous peoples, Oki, Dadanastada, Ambawastich, and Tansei. On behalf of my council colleagues, welcome to everyone who's joining us from outside of Calgary, and congratulations to all of the winners, along with your families and your friends. Thank you for inviting me to celebrate with you this evening. These are tremendous accomplishments that all of you have achieved, and congratulations to all of you on those achievements. And when I look over the list of individuals named today and the things that you have accomplished, I am filled with pride and I have so much optimism for our future. I want to recognize you for your talent, your innovation, your commitment, and especially your perseverance. I want to extend my congratulations and appreciation to those who support you, whether they are your teams at work, your families, or your friends, because we all know that our best work is never done in isolation of others. The theme for this year's event is past, present, and future. It would be easy to focus solely on the impressive actions that all of you have taken, the great accomplishments that you have achieved, and the optimism that you represent for the future. But as we look at our theme, I think we understand why we sometimes need to look at the past. Because understanding our past helps us better understand who we are, how we got here, as well as where we still need to go. Life moves very quickly sometimes. Headlines in the news change quickly, cities evolve and change, and people change. All of us change with time. Your generation has existed in a world of anger, hurt, and confusion at times. You have lived through some very difficult times, and I'm sure that many of you look to the future and you wonder what it holds for you. And so why am I talking about uncertainty and negativity at a time when we should be celebrating? Because it needs to be recognized that you are who you are because of the things you have experienced and the things that you have gone through. You are strong, and your strength comes from a place of kindness. It comes from compassion and empathy and authenticity based on all of the things that you've experienced. You are a generation that envisions a world which is just and fair and equitable and sustainable, and you are not afraid to use those words. And that's what I appreciate the most about you at a time when people are trying to strip us of words like diversity, equity, and inclusion. I know that your generation will not let that happen, and I am here to stand with you to make sure that doesn't happen. The work you do is striving to improve access to quality health care, access to education, and building of strong institutions in your local communities as well as around the world. And while the work that you do transcends borders, it is an absolute privilege to know that many of you have chosen to make your home in this city, in Calgary. There is so much to celebrate tonight, and I want to give you just a little piece of advice. Don't overlook this incredible accomplishment. Don't rush through this evening. Take the time to enjoy it. Take the time to celebrate it. You're busy people, but I want you to slow down today and take a moment for yourselves and celebrate yourself and what you have achieved. Remember how it feels to be recognized this evening and use that feeling to propel you forward to pave the way for the next thing you're going to do to make your mark on this world. Thank you all for everything you have done and everything you are committed to doing within Calgary, within Alberta, our nation, and within the world. And let's have one more round of applause for this year's Top 30 Under 30.
Thank you so much for that wonderful speech, Mayor Gondek. But just real quick, let's get all top 30s to rise to take a photo with the mayor. Come on up. Don't be shy. Thank you, Mayor Gondek, for welcoming us all on behalf of the City of Calgary, and to everyone in the audience, including the ACGC team who traveled here from Edmonton. Welcome to the better city.
Oh, come on, we know it's true, we know it's true. I know you're all very excited to hear the top 30 speeches tonight. For the second year in a row, the top 30s had the chance to vote for their speakers. So we're gonna have a chance to hear mini speeches from 7 top 30s this year, as well as watch the top 30s video for the first time. So friends, family, community members, are we ready to hear these speeches? Woo! All right. I know I'm excited to hear them. Our first top 30 speaker is someone making waves in the renewable energy sector. Please welcome Preet Kang.
Thank you. I feel a deep connection to the environment, and throughout my life, the idea of sustainability has always interested and engaged me. While pursuing my formal education in chemical engineering, I came to the understanding that the way energy is produced has a lasting effect on our planet. Not only that, but satisfying the growing energy demand while maintaining sustainability and social equity is a huge and complex challenge all over the world. Growing up in Alberta, a province deeply tied to the traditional energy industry, I have learned to be aware of the economic and political significance of energy and the deep tie it has with the identity of Albertans. An identity that is proud of our hardworking roots, innovation, resilience, and leadership. However, it wasn't until I began working in climate advocacy that I truly grasped the scale of inequities embedded with a system that shapes our lives. Policies designed to support economic growth frequently overlook social and environmental justice, leaving many behind. This realization deepened my commitment to advocating for an equitable transition, ensuring that climate solutions address both environmental sustainability and systemic disparities. As a climate advocate and community builder, my work is grounded in climate action, reduced inequalities, and partnerships for the goals. We can develop and implement realistic and scalable solutions, such as renewable energy. This will naturally meet resistance and barriers, especially in a world of unpredictability and uncertainty. But the certainty is this: the largest capacity for decarbonization lies here. Again, not a small task, as we are rethinking how we power our world. I often explore this idea, but at a micro level. What about the energy needed to power us and our passions? Because let's be honest, the work is hard, the work is not easy, and as youth, we often carry the weight of a world in crisis because we have been told since we were children that we are the generation that will be innovative and lead the change. We're fighting systems of oppression, climate change, and economic inequalities while navigating our own futures. The urgency and pressure to do it all and to do it perfectly can be overwhelming. We are adamant to uphold our values of authenticity and integrity in our lives, because that is who we are. We realize that change is necessary and it needs to be collaborative. To rethink systems that center on justice requires immense focus and care. It's emotionally and mentally exhausting. I've learned through my own experience that this work is not sustainable unless we are sustainable. I faced burnout and exhaustion, and those moments reminded me that rest is not a weakness. It's a necessity. We want to build a better future, we must model what that looks like in our own lives. That means prioritizing self-care, building supportive communities, and remembering that taking time to recharge is an investment in our ability to create lasting change. Rest is productive. Taking care of ourselves is essential if we want to continue to show up for the world and invest in our beliefs and work. That means embracing rest, investing in our well-being, and understanding that our personal resilience fuels the resilience of the movements that we lead. Our work, no matter how difficult, is worth it. Please Continue fighting for a better world, but also recognize the importance of taking care of yourself while you do so. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Preet, for speaking on the importance of taking action towards creating a cleaner future. Our next speaker is a Métis scholar and budding anthropologist. Please welcome Benjamin Couture. Come on right up.
Thank you, Farada, for that introduction. My name is Benjamin Couture, and I'm a member of the Otipemisiwak Métis government and a descendant of the Michel First Nation. To be recognized as one of this year's top 30 is deeply humbling and an honor. But more than that, it's an important reminder that the work that we do, both individually and collectively, has a real and lasting impact. I'd first like to thank the CGC for this award and extend my congratulations to my fellow awardees. My journey has been shaped by the strength and resilience of my community, the wisdom of my mentors, and most importantly, the unwavering support of my family, and especially my mother. Her guidance and dedication and love have been my foundation. She has instilled in me the values of integrity, perseverance, and the responsibility to stand up for what is right. Values that continue to shape my path forward and my work. As an Indigenous researcher, advocate, and student leader, my work is more than an occupation. It's a commitment to justice, equity, and reconciliation. Research, however, does not exist in isolation, and it must serve a greater purpose. Among many other things, my work aims to advance Sustainable Development Goals 4, 10, and 16. This means decolonizing education by ensuring that Indigenous histories and perspectives are accurately represented, moving beyond the colonial and Eurocentric narratives. Education should empower, not erase. Indigenous communities have long faced barriers to recognition, education, and resources. Through community-based research, policy, and advocacy, I strive to dismantle these barriers and create spaces where Indigenous voices lead the decision-making process. Reconciliation is also not just about words. It is about meaningful action. Whether it's through my research, advocacy, or leadership, I work to ensure that Indigenous laws, governance, and rights are upheld within the institutions that have historically excluded us. Beyond my academic work, I currently serve as the chair of the National Indigenous Advocacy Committee and a board member of the Canadian Alliance of Student Associations. Previously, I served as the president of the Indigenous Graduate Student Association and vice president of student life for the Graduate Student Association at the University of Alberta, where I became the first Indigenous person elected to the executive board in over 38 years. These roles have reinforced my belief that lasting change happens when we center marginalized voices, build collaborative solutions, and work together to hold the institutions accountable to the communities that they serve. Looking ahead, it is my goal to continue bridging academia, policy, and community, to create spaces where Indigenous voices lead and where meaningful, lasting change is realized. More than anything, it is my hope that my work contributes to a future where Indigenous knowledge and identities are recognized as sources of strength and resilience, not just as footnotes in history. Whether it's through international collaboration, national policy discussions, or direct engagement with diverse communities, I lost my place. I remain committed to ensuring that Indigenous perspectives are not only included, but valued in shaping the policies and decisions that affect us all. In closing, I want to leave you with this. Each of us not only has the power to create change, we have the responsibility to do so. Whether it's through research, advocacy, leadership, or simply lending your voice and standing up for what is right, we all have a role to play in shaping the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Benjamin, for reminding us about the power and necessity of reconciliation. I think it's clear to everyone listening that you work really hard to live your values, so thank you for everything you're doing. Our next speaker has dedicated years towards making her school and our city a more sustainable place. Please welcome Henny Panghulan.
Hi, my name is Henny, And today I wanted to talk about my experience growing up in a place where the effects of climate change are already regularly seen and how this experience really inspires the work that I do today. I grew up in the Philippines, where it was normal for me to hear about families losing their homes, livelihoods, and even loved ones to climate disasters like typhoons and floods. To make matters worse, the Philippines has very few programs or policies in place to support the families that are affected by climate disasters. Those who are affected have to start over again on their own. And it is often those who are socioeconomically disadvantaged who don't have the savings that are most impacted by this. We don't hear about stories like these in Canada, and I think that speaks to how much privilege we have. I was first introduced to climate change when I was in grade 9 after having immigrated to Canada. And I learned about how climate change will continue to exacerbate magnitudes of climate disasters and how third world countries like the Philippines will be impacted more because they don't have the systems in place to adapt. And I knew immediately that I wanted to be a part of the solution, especially as someone living in a first world country like Canada, which has sufficient resources to bring about a solution. In university, I started volunteering with the Sustainable Development Goals Alliance, where we hosted educational events about the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And in here, I had the opportunity to connect with other students who also came from climate vulnerable countries. Students like me who have seen the impact of climate change in communities close to their heart. And I saw how it doesn't take much for a person with that experience to want to be part of the solution. And that is when I realized that we need to empower those from communities that are most impacted by climate change. And that includes those from climate vulnerable countries, low-income communities, indigenous communities, and children, because they bear the consequences of our action today. These communities have and are currently experiencing the consequences of a bad environment. They know how climate disasters destroy communities, how climate disasters can destroy our dreams of a good future. And because of this, they have the drive to fix our climate crisis. And more importantly, these communities are resilient. These communities face so many challenges and barriers, yet they are still up. They are continuously adapting to the harsh realities of climate change, and we need to learn from their ways of knowing. I find that these same communities who have been are the ones who have been silenced historically or continue to be disempowered. And that is why empowerment is especially important for them. My call to action for everyone in this room is to empower marginalized communities around you. Don't look at them from a place of pity. Believe in their potential and appreciate their work, because they know so much more than we think, and we need their knowledge if we want to get out of this climate crisis. Many people say things like technology or electric cars are the solution out of this climate crisis. And while I agree with that sentiment, I want to shine a light on something that we may be missing. What about the marginalized in our community who are most impacted by our environment, who rely on our environment the most and are most connected to it? Could they be our way out of this climate crisis? Thank you.
What a powerful speech. Thank you so much, Henny, from the bottom of my heart for empowering marginalized voices in combating the climate crisis. Now, I'd like to introduce a health researcher focusing on equity and creating resilient communities. Please welcome Umnia El Hakim.
Thank you very much for the warm welcome, Jake. Good evening, everyone. As a top 30 under 30 recipient for this year, I'm so honored to join the ACGC network, along with so many inspiring individuals. Congratulations to my fellow awardees, and I look forward to what we accomplish in the future. I'd like everyone to take a minute and close their eyes. Imagine living in a world where your access to healthcare, your ability to thrive, and even your life expectancy can be determined by where you're born, your income, or the color of your skin. You can open your eyes now. For millions, This isn't imagination, it's reality. Health is a human right, yet it remains a privilege for far too many. My work aligns with SDG 3, good health and well-being, SDG 4, quality education, SDG 5, gender equality, SDG 10, reduced inequalities, and SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities. I have found that all of these sustainable development goals play a crucial role on healthcare accessibility. When I began my journey in public health, I believed that a healthier world was within reach. But the more I learned, the more I saw many barriers, disparities in healthcare access, gaps in education, and systems that perpetuate inequity. These issues aren't just global, they exist in our own backyards. Yet with every challenge I've encountered, whether it was working with youth to address the opioid overdose crisis, amplifying immigrant voices, addressing isolation among seniors during the COVID-19 pandemic, or conducting research on the sustainability of healthcare systems, I've seen a truth that gives me hope, that communities are resilient, and that people are capable of incredible change when they are empowered. The pandemic magnified many disparities that we've long ignored, but it showed us something quite powerful, that we can act. We must act. And youth, like you, are at the heart of this change. You are the thinkers, the creators, the advocates, and the ones that can stand up and raise their voice. You can redefine what is possible. The future is yet to be determined, so we have the power to shape how we want it to be. The path to health equity isn't easy, but it starts with a simple question. What role will you play? Will you innovate, organize, or amplify voices that have been silenced? Every small step, every bold idea, and every action builds momentum. Together, we can create systems that prioritize prevention over treatment, resilience, and above all, justice. Whether in Canada or on the other side of the world, we can build a future where no one is left behind. It starts with the belief in our own power and our commitment to act. Let's not wait for tomorrow to take action. We can learn from the past, implement the wisdom gained in our present, and look forward to a bright future, where we will harvest the fruits of our hard work. Let's rise today to build a healthier, more equitable world we all deserve, regardless of where we live. My name is Umnia Al-Hakim. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you so much, Omnia. That was so powerful. Health is global, and we are all part of the solution. And listening to you really reminds me that if we're willing to listen to each other and work together, a better world isn't just possible, it really is within reach. Thank you. So everyone, how are we liking the speeches so far? Yeah? I don't know if I can hear you. Are we liking the speeches so far? Incredible. Well, we do have more to come, but right now we actually have a special treat for you. Earlier on in the year, our top 30s participated in creating a video montage. We are so proud to debut the 2025 Top 30s video at this year's ceremony.
Hi, my name is Preet Kang.
My name is Henny Panghulan.
Hello, my name is Alejandro Bejarano.
Hi, my name is Ronar Qureshi.
My name is Mel.
My name is Mabintu Watara.
My name is Eddie Goa.
Hi, my name is Nadi.
My name is Umnia Al-Hakim.
My name is Aliza.
Hi, my name is Bilal Shakir. From the past, we can learn about our interconnectedness. We can see how people from all across the world and all stages of life have walked the same path that we are walking now.
The past has taught us the price of inaction, so choose to lead with purpose, heart, and humility.
By learning from the past, we unlock the wisdom needed to make informed decisions and shape a brighter future.
When leaders and systems fall short, it's up to us to spark dialogue, foster collaboration, and create new pathways forward through community-driven work.
Life is like a roller coaster but comes with no instruction. This is the time to take care of your well-being.
This is the time for us to try and find common ground with others and work together to solve some of the complex problems that our generation faces right now.
Now we must take action in empowering the voices of those who are often not heard in the talk about sustainability.
This is the time that we start taking responsibility for the choices we make, whether that's the food we eat or the clothes we wear and the products we buy.
This is the time to think about artificial intelligence in healthcare. It's about improving patient outcomes, making education more accessible, and solving problems that we once thought were unsolvable.
This is a time to reflect on the weight of what is in front of us. It's also a time to reflect on our own strengths and our collective ability to shape that very future.
I am driven by active hope, the belief that hope must depend on action. I engage in active hope by contributing to research, volunteering in my community, mentoring students, and more.
What drives me is the amazing group of people that I get to work with in the sustainability sector.
I am driven by hope and a deep-rooted belief that every action does matter. We do have the power to create positive, lasting change.
With just 5 years left until 2030, we need bold steps to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, especially to empower women and marginalized communities.
For me, time is meant to be cherished by being present in the moment and making every second count. Every day is an opportunity to live with purpose and intention.
The time to act is now, and every action counts toward a more sustainable future.
How amazing was that? Big thank you to Crystal Moss for creating this wonderful video, and congratulations to all of the top 30s. This is your day. Celebrate it. Woo! That was totally planned, by the way. Anyways, moving back to the speeches, our next speaker is a graduate researcher and a mental health advocate. Welcome, Harveen Sadin.
I want to take a moment to express my immense gratitude for being recognized as one of the top 30 under 30 award recipients for 2025. It is truly humbling to stand alongside 29 other change makers working towards a more just, equitable, and sustainable world. Additionally, I want to extend my heartfelt appreciation to the Alberta Council for Global Cooperation for this recognition and to everyone who has supported me on my journey. Many who are here today and are joining virtually, so thank you. At the core of everything that I do is a deep belief in the power of community voice. Community voice holds an impactful perspective that lays the foundation for every movement that we strive to build. Throughout my journey, I've had the privilege of hearing and learning from so many different perspectives, outlooks, and cultures, which has fundamentally changed the way that I see the world. These experiences have not only fueled my passion for mental health advocacy, but have also opened the doors to spaces that I never imagined that I would be stepping into as a kid.
One of the most defining moments in my journey was when I joined South Asian Youth Mental Health, same YYC, in 2020 as an ambassador. I vividly remember brainstorming sessions where my team sat down and we were determined to create something that would truly resonate with our community. With the support from the grant from the Alberta Medical Association, my co-lead, supervisor, and I created a culturally tailored mental health video series. One that wasn't just about sharing information, but it was about breaking the silence and stigma that has long existed in South Asian households. We invited community members of all ages, backgrounds, genders, and social roles because we knew that mental health is not a one-size-fits-all experience. To me, it was essential to highlight the unique intersectionalities within our community because when someone watches a video, they're not just seeing a message, they're seeing a reflection of themselves. More than my title as a public health professional, for example, they see me as a young South Asian woman. By amplifying diverse voices and lived experiences, we created a space where people could feel truly seen, heard, and supported. Because representation isn't just important, it's transformational. Later, this passion led me to pursue a master's in public health, where I deepened my understanding of how community participation is not just valuable, but essential in shaping effective health initiatives. I've come to understand that every community is layered with cultural norms, generational values, and subtle nuances that shape their experiences and perspectives. And they're not just small details. They are the foundation of how people interact with health systems, access resources, and navigate their well-being. Without acknowledging these complexities, even the best intended initiatives can fall short. These experiences have made me realize that meaningful change happens when we center the voices of those with lived experience, ensuring that they're not just included in the conversation, but they're the ones leading it. As we look toward 2030, the urgency to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals is greater than ever. But I truly believe that the most impactful change happens when we commit to listening, learning, and taking action together. This award is not just a recognition of my work. It's a testament to the power of collective efforts, of communities coming together to challenge inequities and build a future where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. So thank you once again for this honor, and congratulations to my fellow award recipients. I'm inspired by all of you, and I'm excited for the change that we're going to continue to create together. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Harveen. We know lived experiences need to be considered when addressing mental health concerns, and you so beautifully articulated the importance of valuing those experiences as a source of knowledge. So thank you very much. Our next speaker is working hard to merge sustainability, fashion, and culture. Give it up for Srinidhi Kotikalapudi.
February 10th, 2024, cSPACE Marda Loop, 4 to 6 p.m. It's almost nostalgic being in the same room as exactly 1 year ago, especially because this is where my project, the Aquativity Project, truly came to life on the runway. Hi everyone, my name is Nidhi Kotikalapudi, and I'm also the founder and artistic director of the Aquativity Project, or TAP. TAP started with an absurd but ambitious vision to reduce the overconsumption of fast fashion. Many people don't realize the scale of textile waste. Every year, 92 million tons of clothing end up in the landfill. If that's hard to conceptualize, then picture each one of us throwing out 38 kilograms of clothes into the landfill every single year. Breaking it down even more, a single cotton t-shirt takes 2,700 liters of water to make, which is enough water for one person to drink for 2.5 years. That's not even the entire list of issues: contaminating waterways, endangering wildlife, increasing carbon emissions are other significant consequences. Over time, TAP evolved into something more than just a fight against waste. It became an expression of beauty. Let me tell you all a story. When I first started this project, it was only me, my vision, and absolutely zero experience in fashion. At the time, I was networking with people who could instill some fashion knowledge and be part of my team. I collaborated with a modeling agency to train myself and other models on runway etiquette. The training went well until the director started listing out what made a good model: height, waist size, among other physical attributes. I stood there in utter disbelief and disappointment. Memories of my teenage insecurities came rushing back: my acne-covered skin, braces, and the discomfort I felt every time I saw myself in photos. I realized then that diversity was beyond having models with different skin tones. It was about recognizing beauty in each individual. I had a decision to make at that moment. I decided that every piece of clothing produced would be aimed at enhancing the model's features and not the other way around. Similarly, every piece of thrown out fabric can be turned into something beautiful. I believe that my work in slow fashion empowers people to find beauty not just in themselves, but in each piece of garment that they buy. Just like the outfit I'm wearing today. It used to be an unwanted shower curtain, discarded because its purpose was assumed to be complete. But now, it's a representation of what the future could be. What started as a solo project has now grown into a team of 30. We've hosted over 450 attendees, completed 2 major projects, and even gained media coverage along the way. None of this would have been possible without my parents' unwavering support, my brother's constant motivation, and my friends who have always shown up for me, even today. To my fellow top 30s, thank you for being a constant source of inspiration. And to all of you, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Trinity, for your beautiful words and your stunning efforts in creating sustainable fashion. Last but not least, allow me to introduce someone working towards ensuring quality education for all. Please welcome Dima El Rufai.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be closing off the speeches from the top 30s today. And I want to start my speech with a confession. My journey in leadership and community service started in a way I never expected. I remember it was in grade 10, about 7 years ago, when I realized my IB program required 25 service hours every semester. My first thought, is this some kind of punishment? My second, I need to get this over with as quickly as possible. So, determined to check it off my list, I signed up to volunteer at Heritage Park, 5 hours every day for 5 days over the winter break. And I remember thinking, these will be the longest 5 days of my life. But as you could probably tell, it wasn't as bad as I thought, and I actually enjoyed it. I got to chat with the other volunteers and create bonds with families, and I surprised myself by stepping outside my comfort zone. And since then, I've had the honor to participate and lead even more initiatives. I've co-authored lab manuals with my university that have been used to teach 1,000 biochemistry students. I've worked with international science communication organizations, and I'm proud to say my scholarship guides have been used by students across 10 universities and high schools in Alberta. And looking back, I'm realizing that it wasn't just the work that made these experiences meaningful. It was my family. It was my dad who braved icy blizzards to drive me to Heritage Park every morning, and it was my mom who took me to events in places we didn't even know existed in Calgary. And that's the point I want you to take from my speech. It's not just about giving back to the community, it's about giving back to those who supported us the most. In Islam, there's a saying, charity begins in the home. And I need to hear that more than anybody here. I remember a few days ago, my mom asked me to help out in the kitchen. I said, Mom, I can't help right now. I'm working on my speech for the award I'm getting for being so good at helping people. Yes. How many of us feel like we can barely see our families from juggling all these responsibilities and work that we have, even while living in the same city or even under the same roof? And so, as we take on more responsibilities in our community, let's also take time to appreciate the people that got us there in the first place. As we leave today, let's be proud of all we've accomplished, but also remember the little things we could do better. So can I ask my top 30s to please stand right now with me, and let's turn around, face our families, and give those who made it all possible the recognition that they truly deserve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thema, for reminding us to think about the people who lift us up and for that very touching finale. I couldn't agree more that the people in our lives shape us irrevocably and that it's so important to honor them. We hope you enjoyed this snapshot of the top 30s. Can we give it up for all of our top 30 speakers? To learn more about all of our speakers and the 23 other brilliant top 30s this year, please visit their profiles on our website, which I think should be displayed up here. Yes, perfect. Each top 30 has a journey that they've reflected on to get where they are today, and you can learn a little bit about that on our website. Yeah.
And a quick shout out to the amazing artist who created the artwork found on each top 30's profiles. Esther Di Malanta is the artist responsible for this year's stunning top 30 portraits and our logo. Esther could not join us today, but we thank her for her work. And here should be the full artwork.
So gorgeous. She did an incredible job, no? Before we move into the next portion of our event, I want to invite everyone to just take 30 seconds, stand up, stretch. I know we've been sitting for a while. Come on, everyone, on your feet. Stretch for a second. Loosen up. Do what you need to do. Great. Thank you, everyone. I invite you to take your seats again. All right. We are now delighted to introduce our keynote speaker for the ceremony. Originally from Morocco, Dr. Nadia Marouf is a clinical scientist and analog astronaut, having completed her PhD at the University of Calgary and then gone on to work for the Canadian Space Agency. Last year, she was named one of Avenue magazine's top 40 under 40. Without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Dr. Nadia Marouf.
Just working on the clicker, bear with me. There we go. Well, hello everybody, and thank you so much for having me. It is an absolute honor to be here with you, celebrating the achievements of our wonderful top 30. Technically, you are under 40. Top 30, under 30 awardees. Your work to make this world a better place is truly inspiring, and I'm very, very proud to be here to celebrate with you. So, talking to you today is of particular honor to me. According to the odds, a woman like me with my background is very unlikely to be here speaking to you. You see, I was born and raised in Morocco, in a small rural community where girls and boys don't enjoy the same rights. Namely, they don't enjoy the same educational access rights as well as career inspirations. This was the first of many obstacles that I had to overcome, but of course, overcoming challenges and adversities is something we all have to overcome in this room, in particular, when you're trying to do something amazing in the world. So today I was thinking to share with you a trajectory of my life, where I've been once upon a time, and share with you some of the obstacles and impossibilities that I had to defy to be here. And then I will give you a quick glimpse into my life as a scientist, an analog astronaut, and an explorer. But before I get started, I just really want to pose a question to you. When you look at your fellow top 30 under 30 awardees, when you look at the alumni, or when you look at somebody that you truly aspire to be like, do you ever pause and think about some of the challenges that they experienced in their life and how they feel about those challenges? Is this something they wish they never experienced, or is this something that they are proud of having lived through and persevered through, and something that makes them who they are? So I'm not going to ask you for answers, but I just want you to contemplate that a little bit. So let's see if I can. Can you hear me? Okay, never mind. So this cartoon is, oops, sorry. Sorry about that. So this cartoon is by one of my favorite artists, Nahid Zamani from Iran, who uses her art to raise awareness for discrimination and some of the challenges that people are experiencing in the world. And as you can see here, we have a little boy with his books and educational tools, looking at the future, looking at all the possibilities, whereas the girl is standing there with only one possibility. Now, I have to admit, in my case, in my community, it was not as extreme as that. There were career aspirations that women could do for a while until they become wives and mothers. Specifically, stereotypical careers, usually caring, cashiering, clerical work, administrative work, and I'm not saying that these jobs are not important, but not everybody aspires to be in those positions. And for me personally, I was extremely, extremely lucky because I was born to a family that really valued education, starting with my father, who was an avid advocate for equal rights for all. If you want something and you want to work for it, you should have it. And thanks to his support, well, I'm just going to track back just a little bit. So my mom and my dad, they got married when my mother was 18 years old. She did not have a choice. She had to get married. But she had a choice of choosing who she could get married to. And she chose my father. I'm very grateful for that, because she went on to have 6 children. I am the only girl. I have 5 brothers. But she never gave up on her aspirations to pursue her post-secondary education. It was not possible for her to pursue that post-secondary education in Morocco And so in between pregnancies, my father, my grandmother, and a host of support people would take care of my brothers, while my mother is abroad in Spain and France, taking a geology and achieving her career goal to become a geologist. She went on to be the only faculty member in her university, and up until the time she retired, she was still the only faculty member that is a female in her university. And here, sorry. Oops. And over there, she was getting a Royal Award for her research and academic achievements. They didn't even mention that she was a female or a male. She just received that award, and she was very grateful for that. And for me, she was my all-time role model, because she had to follow the cultural norms and adhere to what was expected of her, she did not let that get in the way of achieving her career goals and educational goals. And in my community, there was high prevalence of gender-based violence and harassment for girls especially. And so part of my education, part of my upbringing was my parents enrolling me in martial arts at age 4. And every time I go back to visit my club and my coaches, they joke that the first time they met me, I was in nappies. And so it was a very important part of my upbringing. For my father, it was almost as important as my education is learning how to defend myself. Martial art training 6 times a week, sometimes even 7 times a week, including the Sunday cardio training, etc. And it was important for him that I stand up for those that need that training. And so I made sure that if somebody needed standing up for from bullying, I would be there for them. Or in that case, I was teaching self-defense in a community in the UK. Okay. After high school, I was extremely lucky to get the opportunity to move to the UK to pursue my post-secondary education. And Taekwondo continued to be a really important part of my life. I was 4 times national British student champion, and I was on my way to potentially represent Team GB in the Olympics. And so in 2010, this is a picture from 2010 at my graduation. And can anybody recognize where that is? Anybody at all? Yeah, excellent. How about this one? Any Outlander fans? I wish. Yeah, exactly. That's in Scotland, and that's the cloisters at the University of Glasgow. And so during undergrad, I was almost a full-time athlete, while a full-time student, and I did not do well. My grades were horrible. And because I was planning to finish my degree, go become an Olympic athlete, and then come back and go to medical school. That was my plan. But I learned through life, and unfortunately I had to learn and change my trajectory through some really tragic events. So a few months before my graduation, my Taekwondo master, and one of those people who you meet probably once in your lifetime, if you're lucky, had a heart attack on the treadmill and passed away. And a few months after that, my father had a heart attack, and I just had a call while I was in Korea training in the summer after my graduation that my dad is awaiting heart surgery because he also had a heart attack. And so that was my first light bulb moment, my first realization of what I really wanted to do in life. Throughout my childhood, I always aspired to be a physician. That was the plan. After I was an Olympic athlete, I was going to go back to medical school and do that. But it was my first light bulb moment that both my father and my master had excellent physicians, yet they still had heart attacks, and my dad went on to unfortunately pass away a couple of years later. And so that was the first time that I thought, if I really wanted to prevent this for other people, I can't just be a physician. I had to be a scientist, because it is scientists that make those preventable measures and innovate and not just prescribe drugs that are already there. So I went to Glasgow and I studied clinical pharmacology, and I just want to say quickly, getting into this program was deemed impossible because it was a program for clinicians. It was clinical pharmacology, and I applied to 20 universities. I got rejected in all, only to get accepted at the University of Glasgow, it was my first choice, but it was almost impossible to get in. It was meant to be for physicians, and I was not a physician. And later on, I worked on that light bulb moment, my new passion, my new inspiration to become a scientist, and I moved to Canada to pursue my doctoral studies here at the University of Calgary. So, anybody in grad school here? Hello. So anybody who has gone through grad school or will go through grad school in the future will know it's hell. It's absolutely hell, and you know, you persevere, you try to do your best, but so many failed experiments, so much criticism, so much loneliness, and you sometimes can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And you have to remember your why. Why did you start? I was so close to quitting so many times. But I fell back on my Taekwondo training that I mentioned before. Initially it was meant for me to learn how to defend myself if I had to, but the indomitable spirit and the perseverance that I learned really pulled me throughout my degree. And thankfully, that hard work paid off towards the end, where my doctoral studies contributed to the development of an atherosclerosis vaccine. So this is a vaccine that you can give people who are high risk to prevent them from having a heart attack. As you know, atherosclerosis is the precursor for about 90% of heart attacks and stroke. Now, that a lot of people might ask what's going on with that vaccine. We want it because cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death worldwide still. It is in the final stages of preclinical studies, and it is patented right now. Thank you. Thank you. And of course, it was contribution. It took a village to make something like that. And meanwhile, when you're working on something that you're really passionate about, certain opportunities just show up out of the blue. While preparing for my candidacy, I stumbled on a paper that was describing the parallels between cardiovascular disease here on Earth, the Asian heart, and space travel. Basically, astronauts' hearts age by 20 years for each 6 months spent continuously in space. And in order for us to send astronauts to the moon and Mars, we have to solve that problem. And if we solve that problem for astronauts, and we have to, we probably hear about the developments in space and Elon Musk wanting to send people to Mars next year, to their death, probably. So we have to solve that problem before we take that leap. I read that paper, I digested it, I parked it until a couple of years later when I met retired astronaut Dr. Robert Thirsk, and we had a conversation. It was informal conversation, and then one thing led to another, and then it was a collaboration with the Canadian Space Agency. Again, it's important to keep that open mind, something that's impossible for me at that time because I am an immigrant, I was an international student, I don't have my Canadian citizenship, there is no way that was possible. But it's important to keep an open mind, work with what you have, and the rest will follow at some point. And meanwhile, I mentioned that I grew up doing sports, and for me, sports is the way I take care of my mental health. Especially when I moved to Canada on my own, age 24, I did not know anybody here. And going to the mountains was a way to take care of my mental health. Going through physical activity was how I could go through the challenges and still maintain my sanity. And so for me, there was no better way than to, explore around our beautiful backcountry. We are extremely lucky to have access to that, and especially going to the backcountry and hiking to the top of a mountain and just staring at the night sky. It is very inspiring for me. It makes me wonder what's out there and makes me want to explore. Makes me want to learn about what's out there. At the same time, while I want to learn about other planets and the universe outside our planet, I get humbled every time, especially when I am in a glacier, surrounded by 20,000-year-old ice, and going back the following years, realizing how fast the glaciers have receded. And it makes me want to do whatever I could to take action for climate change. I don't exactly know how, except for recycling and not reducing my usage of plastic, etc. And I'm learning a lot from you on how to take action, and hopefully we'll be able to do more. But it is very humbling, makes you forget all your problems and realize how small you are in the world. And I mentioned about my upbringing, extreme sports, exploring extreme environments, academic pursuits, which all prepared me for something I didn't even plan, which is becoming an analog astronaut and an astronaut scientist candidate. And what does that mean? All astronauts have to go through simulations. Going to space without training, without simulations, is extremely dangerous. And so astronauts and analog astronauts go to extreme environments. For instance, here we are at the Mars Desert Research Station in Utah, which is about 320 miles away from the nearest hospital. If something bad happened there, you have to work with your crew, mitigate, to keep that crew member alive. And so some of the experiments we conducted were related to that. And again, this is at the high seas lunar habitat, where we lived there for 6 weeks, conducting experiments, doing technological demonstrations, and studying stress and isolation, to name a few activities. And here I just want to say something that's a little bit off the script, really, but it's something that I learned, that it doesn't matter what you are doing right now. And here I just wanted to give you an example of, for instance, just using a tool like a drill, helping a friend build a deck, not knowing that I will be using that same tool in the OR a few years later to create an animal model to study a coagulation drug, to study the effects of a coagulation drug after orthopedic trauma, or being put on the spot to come up and build a deck at the Canadian Space Agency in the lunar yard, so that we can conduct our experiments there. And finally, using a drill underwater this was a test basically to see how efficient we were to replace a faulty module in neutral buoyancy lab, how quickly and efficiently you can do it. So what I'm saying is, it's important to not focus on just what we are doing, but to increase the tools in our kit. And whatever we do it sincerely and properly. And that's something I appreciate from my upbringing in that small rural community in Morocco. And last but not least, I am very grateful for everybody who has supported me, who have helped me defy those impossibilities, my parents, my mentors, my teachers. I'm very grateful to have chosen to immigrate to Canada. It's a country that invested in my education where my own country didn't. And it is a country that's full of opportunities if you look for them. But you have to look for them. You have to work hard to get there, but they are there for you. And I also want to say again that I am extremely in awe of all of the top 30 under 30 recipients and honorees, and I'm so inspired. And I look forward to follow your journeys and see what you do to keep making this world a better place. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Marouf, for sharing your beautiful story. You are an inspiration and a role model to all of us. We loved hearing it, and now I imagine several of the top 30s will find themselves on the top 40 list one day.
Now, we will be calling each of the top 30s up one by one to receive your top 30 packages. Each of you will be called up, receive your package and certificate, and take a photo with Sandra. These photos will be available to all top 30s shortly. And after you've had your photo taken, please just move to the side, but don't sit down, as we'll be taking a group photo at the end. For everyone else in the audience, we kindly ask that you remain seated while our photographer takes the photos. And we will call up all of our guests to take photos of the top 30s after the group photo has been taken. I'd like to call Sandra back up to the stage to give out the top 30 certificates. And in the meantime, let's make some more noise for our top 30s. Woo! Okay, and without further ado, we're going to call up our first top 30, Adebario Chris Katiti.
And now our next top 30, Ade Folawai Adeyeye.
Alejandro Bejarano.
Aliza Jafur.
Amani El Halabi.
Benjamin Kutcher.
Bill Zhang.
Dima El Rufai.
Doye Igonideria.
Eddie Gua.
Ermia Rezai Afsa.
Faye Jurulan Helvazan.
Grace Kunal.
Harveen Saini.
Henny Penghulan.
Mabintu Uwatara.
Mel Wilk.
My fellow Native brother, Misquaquin James Harper.
Nabila Ghulam Hussain.
Umnia El Hakim.
Preet Kang.
Ronar Qureshi.
Saleha Haq.
Srinidhi Kodakalapudi.
Sanpreet Johal.
Thomas Tree.
Ufoma Muen.
Not all of our top 30s could make it out today. Joining us virtually is Bilal Shakir, Gregory Radishich, and Sadia Masood, who were unable to join us for the ceremony, but please give them a round of applause. Woo! Wow, we got a big group. Let's do a group photo. Top 30s, it's on you. It has been a pleasure for Ziana and me to be your host for the ceremony. If the top 30s can go back to their seats, which you're already doing, I'd like to invite Sandra back to the microphone. Thank you.
Okay, so we are right up at the end almost of this really, really wonderful event. It's gone so much more than I expected. It was my first top 30 and I wasn't sure what to expect, but just this really good feeling of being amongst these really remarkable young people really fills my heart with a lot of joy. So thank you. You'll just bear with me for a few moments. I just wanted to first thank our wonderful hosts for giving back as MCs for this year. Top 30, as you've all gathered now, is a community that gives back. So whether it's by hosting the celebration event or sitting on our selection committees or just coming out to cheer our new top 30. So this is not the last we're seeing of you. We're going to be getting in touch with you throughout the year, inviting you and asking you to come and give back. So thank you so much, Ferrada and Ziana, for the lovely hosting of this event. And on behalf of ACGC, I would like to thank the staff at cSPACE for their hospitality and expertise. They've been so great getting this place ready. We just walked in with our staff, so thank you so much. And I do want to thank the mayor, who's not here. She's been showing up every time we have this event in Calgary. The last 3 years she's been here, and I just wanted to thank her for her presence. So if you see her, please let her know that I thanked her. And thank you to our volunteers. We did have a little bit of a hiccup yesterday, and we had 3 volunteers just show up on very last minute requests. So thank you for sacrificing your Saturday afternoon to be here with us today. And again, thank you to Esther and Crystal for their artistry with the video and these very lovely renditions of the youth. Thank you for that. And to our photographer, who's just kind of like been, up and down, just trying to capture these moments. Anisha, thank you so much. And as mentioned by the hosts, ACGC is going to send the photos to the top 30s as soon as we can, very shortly, hopefully. And thank you, a lot of poetry for your standing words. Your land acknowledgement, I've never had one so profound like that. Thank you so much. It really touched all of us. And to our inspiring guest speaker, Nadia, thank you so much for inspiring us and just reminding us that we can dare to explore and pursue our passions relentlessly. So thank you. To all our guests that have joined in person or virtually, thank you for coming out today and for tuning in. And at this moment, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge the incredible work that the ACGC team has done to support the planning of this event. I'm not sure if they're all here, but if they are, Yara Medrano, Waged, and John, they've really pulled a lot of hours just to get this event to run. And thank you to Rain, who's not here today. We are thinking of you wherever you are. Thank you for all your support so far, and especially for creating this amazing top 30 profiles that you all have read or will be reading soon, I hope. And last but not least, Hope Salim. Hope, I just want to recognize Hope. Hope she's our youth and public engagement lead, and she's really put all her heart and her soul in planning this very stellar top 30, wouldn't you agree, this year. Thank you for your unwavering commitment and dedication to the program, and we look forward to next year's top 30, so just let's do this again next year. And last but not least, to the top 30s, this was your day. May you continue to work towards creating a world without barriers and a world for all. We're so proud of what you've accomplished thus far, and we look forward to seeing what you do next. We'll be following you. Welcome to ACGC's network. Thank you, and have a good night. Thank you. A lot of poetry. Would you like to come up and just give us our closing poem? Thank you.
is the... Oh, yeah, that was my bad, Ben. I'm sorry. You literally told me to turn it on the first time, and I forgot. Okay. Thank you all. Congratulations, everyone, the families, the speakers. I'm just like so glad to be amongst, like, I'm so glad that you are my peers. It also just makes me feel like, you know, there's hope for the future. You know, I'm out here, like my people are here, and I'm just so proud of all of you. And I'm so glad that I get to deliver this poem to you. I think it's a very fitting poem. It's called A System of Stars, and basically it's just about the work that we do together. And even though we each have our own individual light, it is the light that we all have together that makes a difference. And yeah, I just hope that you enjoy it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to just like reading all of your profiles and the work that you're doing and following you. And yeah, so this is for you. Growing up, when I felt alone, I used to look at the sky. I would take in those tiny bursts of brilliance and wonder about each one. How does each one shine in a way that catches your eye, even though it's surrounded by many just like it? How does each tiny light that alone seems so small and yet remains so significant? How do they know that they are part of the reason why we look up at the sky at night? Do they know that together they create an incredible force that scatters the globe? I wondered, if I were to become a star, would I be able to shine brightly enough? Would I be remembered in a sea of stars just like me if I were to burn out? Would anyone notice? Does my light make a difference? I remember feeling exposed by the operations of civilizations that seem to lay me out on a table, that see me as a specimen to dissect and control instead of take care of. I remembered the false promises of better world, only to be met with uncertainty and fear. Then I remembered every moment I was touched by another soul, another star, a friend, a loved one, how they created a path of hope in my life that made the darkness seem a little less frightening. I remember the moments that made me want to stand hand in hand with these other stars. I remember those times we felt stronger together and I wasn't alone. Paving a passage for others to walk on, not as lone wanderers, but as a living constellation, connecting and collaborating to create endless opportunities instead of being opposed by defunct ideologies that serve the few over the many. Our glow that radiates a tale of unity and purpose, each of us a flicker, a whisper of a future where no leader's call commands our light, no guide's map carves our way, each of us in this intricate dance with each other, not simply making a way, but creating space. Each of our rays a single stitch in the surface of the system. We listen, we build, we unravel, each moment echoing towards and rippling through the sky as a blanket of hope, from the smallest spark to the hardest flame, each of us breaking a barrier, each of us carrying a powerful purpose, each of our actions rippling into a life that has given up on ever being part of something bigger. But no part is too small to carry weight. No role is too minor to matter. We connect, we heal, we care, we protect, creating a home of belonging. We are the threads of light in a vast, unseen tapestry woven into systems that rise and fall on the choices of every single one of us. Though small, we are never insignificant. Though one, we are never alone. Though far away, we are still present. This system, not separate from us, but a reflection of our hands, our hearts, our hopes. Its shape bends to the will of our action. Its path shifts with the realization of our choices. We will never stand still. We are always burning flames flickering into the future. To end our fire is to leave it unfulfilled. To act is to ignite that flame in another. To lift our voice, our hands, our courage is to take responsibility for the sky that covers us, that holds a piece of that purpose. This system cannot remain the same without us. It cannot transform unless we do. Every choice we make bends the world. Every action we take is etched in memory, in time. So let us shine. Let us shine like stars in the darkest of nights, burning for each other. In this collective dance, we are not simply pieces, but the very thing that embodies the whole. The sky waits for us to light her up. And maybe a child who feels alone can look up to us and how we shine for them. Maybe they will grow up knowing that they too can become a star that shines for others. Maybe they too can look at the stars in the room and realize that it's never too late to shine your light. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you again. I am A Lot of Poetry. You can find me on Instagram, A Lot of Poetry, and my website, alotofpoetry.com. I will post this poem for you all to read as well. Thank you again so much for having me. It's been so great being amongst you and listening to you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Hope. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Courtney, for being my neighbor. Yes. Thank you to the host. Thank you, Ziana, my fellow. We used to be on the same board together. It was really good to just see everybody. And yeah, thank you, and good night.
Thank you so much for ending us off right. You have an extraordinary way with words, and that imagery of the night sky and the stars in it, I'm sure it's going to stick with every one of us here today. The live stream will now be concluding, and I am going to invite the top 30s only to exit the theater. There are some lovely treats waiting for you outside, and I'll ask everyone else to please remain in their seats while our top 30s receive their treats. We know you're excited to celebrate with them, and we'll let you go shortly. Thank you, everyone.